Hi, my name is Daphne Brooks. I'm from the Nicetown section of Philadelphia, and I just came out with a book called How I Survived a Narcissist. Now, I know recently there has been a commonality with narcissists. I'm going to be honest with you guys. 2 years ago, when I first heard the term narcissist, I thought it was rich white men because no one in my community never said that they dealt with a narcissist and the effects of dealing with narcissists. So, I was married at this moment, and I realized like my husband, he was so nice. He was so nice. We would watch Hallmark movies together. We had cats, and he would pray with me every morning. But there were incidents where he would do things, and I would begin to question myself, like, wow, he's having a bad day. But it became too consistent. So when I would actually Google these things, narcissists will always come up. So YouTube, they told me what a narcissist was. So I studied it for a little while, but then no, I was in it deep. You couldn't tell me this guy was wrong. Even when we were apart, I kept reaching back, trying to get into the relationship. And finally the big one came. We got into, I'm not even gonna say a fight. We got into a situation where I hit him because he found his new prey, and I found out about it and he lied about it and I hit him. No, Daphne does not hit men. That was just a spirit of the moment. And he choked me out and he beat my body. The reason why I knew this was because the doctors was just like asking me what happened, and I honestly couldn't tell them, but then things would come back. Like, I would picture like him hitting me. And I'm like, oh, it couldn't have been. That's one thing. It just takes your mind away. So the reason why I wrote this book, it was to bring awareness to narcissism, but also let everyone know all of these things that happen in these relationships. These are our choices. These are the choices that we choose to make. So I made the choice from day one to entertain someone that was not even on my level. And I'm not saying it as if I am God and I'm up above the sky, but there are levels. When you're looking for a partner, there are certain things that you look for. And at that moment, I was going through something else. So the first nice guy who came along, it was entertaining. He didn't have much money. He was charming. He was married. So instead of me looking at the fact that he was married and cheating on his wife, I looked at it like, well, he made me feel like I was better than. Choices. I should not have been messing with a married man. And I know better because I grew up in a two-parent household and my mom and dad was married. That's strike one. Strike two. His significant other was sick. How did I think that this man valued women if he's cheating on his sick wife? That's number two. So these are all choices that happened before I got in too deep. Then I seen him actually fist fight his sister. His sister is a female, no matter what's going on. And I remember my daughter saying she was crying and she says, Mom, my stepdad is a woman beater. And I looked at her and said, no, my mom, that's just him and his sister. But that's a female. That's another strike. And I made the choice to continue on. When it came to money, getting big lump sums of money, he's buying all these materialistic things. How can I expect to build something with someone who does that? So in the interim, instead of me making the choice to walk away, it's kind of like I joined the circus act. So I began to step out of my character and I want to be transparent. I felt like I was beginning to act like a bum. Like, every little piece of money I got, I'm spending it. And when I look back, being with him was so comfortable. I didn't have to have goals. I didn't have to have a good job. I didn't have to have a lot of money. I didn't even really have to be as beautiful as I know that I am now because it was no work at all because he was mediocre. So when you're dealing with someone mediocre, you don't have to try hard. Your goals go to the wayside and you're just living day to day to day. So once it happened where we split up, I took a year to myself. I sat with myself for a full year. I began to read the Bible from time to time. I began to look at financial. I got financial literate. I began to read books by Robin Sharma, which he is mostly amazing. I began to do yoga. I began to meditate. I began to journal. So I joined what I called the 5 a.m. club. I would wake up at 3:30 in the morning, take a shower, listen to some affirmations. I would work out for 20 minutes. I would meditate and journal for 20 minutes, and then I would read for 20 minutes. A Robin Sharma book, because I read all of his books during this time, because this is what helped me specifically at this time. And I learned that throughout my adulthood, instead of me working on myself, I just was really, just to be honest, I was penis hopping. So I was always in a relationship, always messing with someone, like rebounds. And it's like, if you continue to go through rebounds throughout your life, how will you ever really get healed? So I think the message that I want to get across with this book is, number one, you have to get comfortable with sitting with yourself. That's number one. Number two, when you're thinking about who you want as a significant other, think about yourself. Would you date you? It's like, you want this guy with this good credit. I want him to have this car. I want him to be on his own. I want him to have all of these things. Do you have it? Like, what are you coming to the table with? Because gone are the days where you're coming to the table where you can cook and you have good sex. That's not going to cut it. If that's all you have and you're hooked up with somebody and they're willing to accept the minimal things, that's probably not a good partner for you. Anything worth having is challenging. Anything easy to get is easy to lose. So it's like my whole movement. I plan to have a movement of women. I want the term woman to actually mean something. Like back in the day, I can think of my great grandmother. I never heard my great grandmother curse in the street, never saw her fight in the street, never saw her crying about a man. I never seen some of the things I've seen. Like, she never dressed provocatively. She just always was a woman, and she wasn't flashy. She just was a woman. I want to get that back. Like, I want women to walk around like elegant. You don't have to have on a gown to be elegant. Feminine, the way we talk. We don't have to curse. We don't have to be outside loud on FaceTime, letting everyone hear our conversation. When we're going to work, let's look like we're going to work. When we're going to church, let's look like we're going to church. Even other religions, if you're going to a religious ceremony or somewhere where you're practicing religion, look like you are practicing the religion. Like, we really have to work on our insides in order for this to happen. So my next episode, we are going to be talking about trauma bonds. Now, the guest that I have coming to speak about trauma bonds, which is a very special guest to me, she breaks it down. Like, she breaks trauma bonds all the way down. I put it in a simple form. So trauma bonds is when you're going through something or you are experiencing trauma, childhood trauma. It could be a recent trauma, and you hook up with someone that has a similar trauma. So instead of someone pulling you up out of it, you guys sit in it together. And next thing you know, you've built this relationship or friendship with someone for years, and it's nothing but a trauma bond. It has not motivated you. It has not brought any value to your life. It doesn't have anything to do with your purpose in life. You're just friends with this person, all based off of trauma. Like, you may have been abused when they were younger. They may have been abused. And for my couples, you may have grown up without a father. He grew up without a mother, and boom, you're trauma bonded. How is he going to know how to treat you if he don't know what love is from a woman? That matters. There are a lot of men who suffer from abandonment from their mother. There are a lot of women out here who don't even know who their father is. So I was talking to someone and I said, wow, can you imagine not never knowing who your father was, or your mom diminishing your father's characteristics so much that if a man comes along and buy you a hot dog, you actually think that's everything and form a long relationship off of a hot dog? It sounds funny, but that's what it is. And it's like, this book definitely takes you on all of these journeys. What was exciting, what shouldn't have been exciting. I even wrote a letter to my stepfather in this book. And I wrote a letter to my stepfather because, ironically, while I was messing with this married man, my father was having an affair with someone else. And it's like I was so busy in what I had going on, I didn't have the time to comfort my mother. So me and my stepdad, we were like best friends. I told my dad everything. And in this letter, it's just like telling him what type of influence he had on me as far as his actions. My dad was a great father, but he wasn't so great when it came to being a husband, especially the example of, just cheating and just doing different things. And I know people are probably like, how can someone be a great father and not be a great husband? You can easily be a great father to your children, but there's some type of disconnect when it comes to being a great partner to your wife. And that's the struggles that my stepfather had. So I had to write him a letter in the book to let him know how I felt. And these are things we should do as a community. We should be able to talk to, I should be able to talk to my dad. You should be able to talk to whoever scarred you when you were a child, or just get some help. You can't get healed if you haven't gotten help. We have to look out for that type of stuff. I talk about that in the book, these triggers. So I'll give you an example. My mother was on drugs when I was 5 years old. Not me per se. My mother was on drugs when I was 5 years old. But I'm okay. I'm fine. My whole family is crazy, but I'm the only one okay. If someone comes to you with that type of narrative, that's a red flag. And I'm not saying, just shun everybody who didn't have a good childhood. What I'm saying is pay attention to their conversation and their narrative. Because there are a lot of men who, they may have abandonment issues from their mother, but they seeked help. And now the conversation may go, my mom wasn't in my life when I was younger, but she did the best that she could with what she had. And that's how you know someone is healed. When they're constantly telling you trauma stories that they went through when they was younger, and you can see it all in their face that they're not healed from that. It's like if they feel that way about their mother, who are you at the end of the day? You're nobody. If a man does not have a good relationship with his mother or his caregiver or the women in his family, you don't have a chance. Do not think you're so up high, just like I did, that this person is going to dramatically change. And I even tried to recreate childhood memories, giving birthday parties and inviting them into my family and just trying to be that mother he didn't have. Do not make that mistake, because you will absolutely be mad at yourself. So we fast forward from me with this book. I finished the book and I just felt like something was missing. And I know people are going to, oh, here we go again. But I went to church one day. And I'm not going to say I went to church one day, I got saved and I got delivered. No, I went to church and I just was like, maybe I belong in church. So I said, okay, let's see. I'll come back. Came back to the church. And I was like, I really like this church. It's small. The pastor is like a personable church. So let me keep trying. So next thing you know, I'm like, Pastor, I need to get baptized. Now, I was baptized as a child, but I felt like I needed to get baptized as an adult, because as a child, I really didn't know what that meant. So I felt like I had to, all old things had to pass. It had to pass for me to go into my next dimension. So I got baptized. So now it's like, wow, I'm walking into this new season where I feel like I'm healed. And when I say I'm healed, when you get healed from something, you're still going to have trials and tribulations, but it's the way I react to them now. Like, I'm not overly obsessed about the event, or I want to get the person back, or I'm arguing and I'm screaming in the street. It's like the way I look at things now, I feel like God gives me these trials and these tribulations because he's preparing me for the next dimension. How can I be an effective author, an effective parent, and the leader over women if I'm still operating from a broken system from years ago? I can't. It's almost like being at a job. You work at a job as an employee, you do really good, and you get promoted to a manager or a supervisor because you prepared yourself for the next dimension by learning all the things you needed to learn before. So we need to get that in every aspect of our life. Every aspect of your life you need to work on diligently. Even with parenting, it's like we go overboard when we're in a relationship. We do all of these things for this partner. It goes for men and women. But when it comes to being a parent, it's kind of like we just settle for, I learned what I was taught, or we settle for doing what we see celebrities do for their children. You really have to invest in your children as much as you invest in these partners that we have. So in every aspect, I hope everyone really start to invest in themselves. Every aspect: parenting, relationship, education, your job, even your entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, let's show up like leaders. Let's learn how to talk to people. Let's learn how to leverage finances. Let's learn how to be consistent. If you're open from 8 to 5, be open from 8 to 5, whether you make money or not. This is what entrepreneur is. So that's all I have. I don't know how much time. I'm kind of done. How long was that?